Have you ever forgotten conversations or events that you're sure happened? Or felt trapped in a fog where your memories seem deliberately erased? This unsettling experience is not just a flaw in your brain. It's part of a dark psychological tactic known as memory suppression. If you've been watching this series, you know manipulators use terrifyingly effective tools to hijack reality. Memory suppression is the next step in this sinister puzzle, designed to disorient, isolate, and control victims by making them doubt what they know to be true. Memory suppression is a covert psychological process where an individual's recollection of events, emotions, or interactions is blocked or erased, often involuntarily. Unlike false memory implantation, which fabricates distorted or entirely new memories, memory suppression focuses on wiping or burying actual memories to alter a victim's perception of reality. Manipulators use this tactic to disorient their targets, leaving them confused, doubting their own minds, and vulnerable to further control. The phenomenon is not limited to trauma responses. In dark psychology, it is weaponized systematically to fragment the victim's narrative coherence, making them easier to influence and dominate. It's a chilling process, because on the surface, it feels like genuine forgetfulness or mental fatigue, which allows abusers to operate undetected. Recognizing the difference is key. Memory suppression is intentional and serves as a sinister defense against truth and resistance. The methods used to induce memory suppression are insidious and varied. Manipulators exploit emotional overwhelm to force the mind into shutting down certain memories as a defense mechanism. Repeated gaslighting, traumatic repetition, and aggressive invalidation act in concert to fragment memory encoding and retrieval. For example, if an abuser consistently denies or contradicts past events while provoking strong emotional distress, the victim's brain may suppress recalling the details to avoid psychological pain. Sleep deprivation, stress induction, and continuous psychological pressure further impair memory consolidation, allowing manipulators to erase or render memories inaccessible. Digital manipulation also plays a role. Bombarding victims with conflicting information distracts and scatters focus, splitting attention away from memory retention. These tactics build over time, making the victim's own recollection unreliable and fragile, a perfect breeding ground for control. Real-world cases drive home just how dangerous and widespread memory suppression is. Survivors of abusive relationships often report large gaps or missing chunks of time, psychological erasure of traumatic interactions. Cult survivors describe how leaders systematically suppressed memories to rewrite loyalty and obedience. On a political scale, memory suppression underpins regimes' control tactics by erasing collective memory or censoring dissenting narratives, creating state-induced social amnesia. Even in everyday life, victims may notice suppressed memories after workplace bullying or social isolation, which are often overlooked but highly effective forms of psychological warfare. The impact is profound. Victims lose their sense of agency and self-identity, trapped in a mental haze that isolates them and weakens resistance. Understanding this scale explains why memory suppression is a silent but powerful form of psychological control across private and public domains. Here's the thing: the psychological mechanisms behind memory suppression are complex. Stress hormones like cortisol interfere with hippocampal function, impairing how memories are stored and accessed. Emotional trauma activates the amygdala, but disrupts the prefrontal cortex's ability to organize memories coherently. Over time, neural pathways associated with certain experiences weaken or become inaccessible, leading to functional amnesia. Cognitive fragmentation results, where victims can't piece together timelines or contextualize events correctly. This leaves victims vulnerable to confusion, repeated trauma cycles, and creates a fertile ground for further psychological manipulation and gaslighting. The brain essentially creates protective blind spots, but manipulators weaponize these blind spots, steering perception and memory to their advantage. The most dangerous part? Victims often blame themselves or believe they are losing their mind, which perpetuates the cycle of abuse. But here's where it gets disturbing. Memory suppression isn't just individual, it scales to entire societies. Authoritarian regimes exploit mass censorship, rewriting history and erasing inconvenient truths to maintain power. Propaganda campaigns flood public consciousness while suppressing dissident voices, inducing collective memory loss which cripples societal resistance. Social media algorithms foster echo chambers that silence and suppress alternative narratives, fragmenting collective memory further. Historically, cultural genocide and forced assimilation tactics have erased indigenous memories and identity, state-level memory suppression as a tool of control and extermination. This scale of manipulation reshapes not just individual psychology but the collective identity, making societies susceptible to authoritarian control, historical revisionism, and ongoing cycles of trauma. Recognizing the signs of societal memory suppression is critical to protecting democracy and individual freedom. Now here's what nobody tells you: because memory suppression operates in the shadows, the best defense is proactive awareness. Document your experiences, write down dates, conversations, feelings. This externalizes memories, making them harder to erase. Build and maintain trusted social connections who can provide reality checks and emotional grounding. Learning to identify gaslighting, information overload, and repeated contradictions can alert you early to manipulative memory suppression attempts. Practice stress reduction techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness meditation, and ensure restorative sleep to protect memory consolidation. If you suspect you're experiencing memory suppression, seek professional psychological support to work through trauma and cognitive recovery. Knowledge about this dark tactic dismantles its power. Your mind is your most valuable territory. Defend it fiercely. Memory suppression might seem invisible, but its effects are devastatingly real, erasing our past to steal our future. Today, we uncovered how manipulators weaponize this dark psychology to disorient and dominate. Next week, we're diving even deeper into the shadowy ways memory can be distorted and rewritten, revealing the psychological warfare behind reshaping reality itself. If you found this eye-opening, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next revelations.